I'm a pretty big fan of anime, so kind of seeing Kritika Online and just seeing what it was about and everything really brought me into it. Kritika Online, for those that don't know, is an instance-based, action-focused beat-em-up style game, and honestly, until maybe 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know it existed. It's an Eastern RPG made by All M and published by PlayPark. It's kind of like PSO and Vindictus, or at least that's what I imagined before I started playing. Immediately when you open the game up, I was shocked to see basically Guilty Gear in MMO form. Like the music, the characters, just everything about it looked very Guilty Gear. Like even the clothing, the costumes. This guy right here looks just like the dude out of Guilty Gear. It was crazy and it was good. I liked it. It wasn't the generic, I'm a Valkyrie, I'm a wizard look. It was very punk. It was very nice. It was cool. I noticed early on that it was locked to 720p and honestly I couldn't change it. I looked everywhere for it, like different buttons, different things that could switch it around, like the little gear cog you always see, but there's nothing on the screen. There's no way to even enter the options before you make a character. So of course I finished up the process. I got everything done. I got her nice and pretty looking as usual, and then I actually hit a wall where I tried to pick a name, and every English name I could think of that was relatively okay didn't work. So of course I went through the whole thing, finally found a name that worked, and started playing the game. Once I got in, I immediately darted to the little cog on the bottom of my screen to try to get everything going, get everything fixed up yet again, because it's not really that pretty of a game until you turn everything up and make it look really nice. Once it was though, I noticed the stylized characters, everything was really beautiful, really vibrant, really colorful, which was new for an MMO. Most of the time they're trying to get dark, realistic, get you really immersed, but this one's like, just go ahead, have fun, whatever. I tried to use controller with the game because it felt natural, of course. PSO, Vindictus, Dungeon Fighter, I think, also lets you all use controllers and utilize them to the best of your abilities, but Kritika Online does not have that option as far as I could tell, so they force you to use keyboard and mouse, and it was for a good reason. A lot of the buttons needed to do it, you have to push kind of at the same time, you have to combo certain things, and they give you access to a lot of hotkeys, like a lot of. For my class, which by the way are gender locked, basically the left click would do the sword attack while the right click would do some gun attacks, and you can mix them up for different variations. The tutorial wasn't that challenging. They tell you to jump over barrels, which is pretty fun and reminiscent of Donkey Kong of course, but from there the game itself just kind of unfolded as you naturally would expect. You end up in a town, you get some items, you get a couple weapons, and they send you back out to the instances. The way the instances work though was a little bit different than I expected, because I thought it would be one seamless kind of, you run through one side, you come out the other, maybe hit a door, maybe hit another path. However, this one was very clear that it was, hey, here's another part of the zone, here's another part of the zone, here's another part of the zone, oh, there's the boss. It reminded me a lot of the layout of MapleStory or maybe like Dungeon Fighter, where you can see the whole map, you can go down either path, and eventually you'll end up at where you need to be. The game itself is definitely geared around this mechanic though, because you enter the instance and you end up running it maybe 5 to 10 times to clear all the quests, because they keep coming. There's not a stop to these quests, and honestly, it wasn't bad. Compared to most games where you're like, oh my god, I've already done this like 6 times. I was okay with going back through because there's different classes you can get, like A, B, S of course, and the better you perform, the more stuff you get, which means better loot at the end. If you're playing with a party, of course, you can get the MVP, which means you'll get first choice of everything there. It was definitely a game that I could see myself playing for a long time. The fighting was really fun, the monsters were kind of unique, and the bosses were actually pretty awesome, even if they didn't last that long. Now, some of the weird things that I noticed in the game, it almost looks like they took everything in their game, typed in the Google Translate and put it right back through, or they just had a program that did it for them. And even then, a lot of the stuff doesn't even fit on the screen, so it'll be off the side, down on the bottom, anything like that. It makes the game a little more funny somehow, but it really shouldn't. Like, it shouldn't be that funny, but it's really kind of hilarious in the end. Another thing that was odd, I suppose, was their choice in the female form. Like, there are so many stacked characters in this game, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the priestess is stacked, the mechanic is stacked, your character's stacked, and even then, when you go into the cash shop, there are more options to make these already stacked women look even more ridiculous. And, as a gentleman, I understand the appeal of this. However, I think it was actually finally maybe a bit too much. With all these grievances stacked up, it's hard to see the light from the shadow between the big boobs and the instance-based weird things, as well as the poorly translated text. But what really matters, and what always matters in MMO, is the combat, and I left it for last because it's one of the strongest points in this game. A lot of MMOs now still adhere to the same formula. You basically make a chain, you make a combo, you make a certain wheel of things, of different commands, and you just copy it through, you push 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 5, 4, 4, and you just do it over and over again. What Kritika Online does is actually take that and put it on its head, which isn't to say like there's not of course rotation still, but you can just have fun with it. A lot of the things that I didn't learn until later into the actual playthrough was that you can do all kinds of things with your moves. At first I thought you can just right click, left click, and that's your basic attacks there, and they don't change no matter what you do. Then I started hitting spacebar, jumping up over the enemy and hitting my attack buttons and noticing that they actually did something different. So instead of just shooting it with that random spread, I was able to jump over and use either like a pistol fire from the sky, or I can do a big slash coming down. After that, you can also do a shift, which was the sprint or the dash, to get closer to your enemy and hit the button again for a different attack. Or, while you're already comboing, you hit spacebar, jump back, and do another attack, giving you space and also doing damage. It's a really intricate system that you can chain all of these together on top of that, so you can actually do a rush in, do an attack, jump above your opponent, do a spray down attack, and then land with your sword because you're still in the air, and then do your regular combo after that. It's really deep, really well done, and it feels great. Like, that's the main thing. The game feel right here is so immense that I'm amazed at how many other people are doing it. It's really visceral, and you feel like everything you're doing is from your own actions, is from your own set of skills, and you're feeling like you're whooping ass versus sitting back and just tapping buttons all day. Beyond that, the skill system itself is very intricate, with the ability to tweak and get new abilities of course, but you can also even change the way you move and attack as a player as a whole, like your whole hero. The skills themselves can be expanded as well, which means you get kind of like in a action adventure with RPG elements where you get one ability, but from there that ability can branch into other things, meaning say you have a teleport slash, now you teleport slash and do more slashes on top of that. By the end of my playtime, which was about maybe 3.5 hours, I really didn't feel like putting the game down. Kritika Online is a really good example of empowering the player to make them feel like they can do anything, and then give them the chance to show off their skills. I mean, nothing matches running into a boss, blasting him away, and then posing right afterwards like a badass.